It's never too early to talk football. Of course, we love to do it on this program. We're joined now by assistant head coach of Sun Devil football, Charlie Ragle, here on the program. Spring ball rounding into form. Of course, workouts going on as we speak. Coach, first off, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here, and no better time than now to talk a little Sun Devil football.
Yeah, there's not a bad time, like we said. So winter progress, we were just talking about it off air because you guys played so late into the year. You really didn't get much of a break, but you're right back into it, and these are the days that really do matter a lot. We're going to talk to CJ Fight in just a couple of minutes to get his perspective as a player, but how are things going with this group in the winter workout so far?
So far so good. I think that, that's obviously the realm that Joe lives in, right, our head strength coach, and as we progress through this and we watch it, you have an understanding of what we have an understanding, obviously, our whole team, of what the expectation is now based off of last year at this time. I think last year at this time you didn't really know. We had brought in 40-some players again, a large number. You're trying to figure out where the pieces fit, what's the personalities, who's who, all of that, and then take that winter conditioning, put it into spring ball. And, there's certain things that you can take away from the spring and spring football. And we were a step further after that, but it wasn't until we went through the summer and I think we got into fall camp till we really understood where we were at.
So in terms of this year, going off of what you just said on what last year was, how does that change going into the spring now, knowing the familiarity you have with the majority of your impact returners? Yeah,
I think Coach Dillingham hit on a great point to the guys like a week ago. Like, this is, what do they say? Good teams are, coach fed, great teams are player led, right? And so we're at a point now, where we just saw what happened by a team that works hard, works together, and is selfless and plays for one another. The results obviously, speak for themselves. So now it's on these leaders, the guys that are coming back, that have been here and been through it, to bring the newcomers along. Because, we can say it and we can talk about it, but if those guys don't do it, live it, the results won't be the same.
I want to get your thoughts. Coach Dillingham did something, an interview a couple of weeks ago where he was talking about maybe a moment where he knew this team could be special a year ago, and he was talking about the climb to the top of Camp T and players getting everyone to go up to the top. Mm-hmm. For you, was there any other moment where you were like, okay, this culture we're building, it's starting to click?
Two things for me. One was at Camp T as well, and it seems like something that was, is so minuscule in this day and age, was that you don't do a whole lot of back-to-back days in full pad practices, anymore. And we went back-to-back up at Camp T, and it was just, to me, I had heard Coach Connolly, Joe, our head strength coach, talk about that this was one of the hardest, if not the hardest working teams he had ever trained. And so that resonated with me. I mean, a guy that has Joe's experience and has been around that many teams, to say that wasn't something that you take lightly. So I put that in the back of my head. I watched these guys at Camp T hit those two back-to-back practices and how they approached it. I was like, you know what, that's tying into what he's saying. So, okay, I see that. If you got a hard-working team, you got a chance. And then it was Game 3 against Texas State when we got down. It was the first time we'd kind of faced any adversity in the early season. And if that had been a year ago, who knows what would have, we could have had a full-scale riot on the sideline. There was always somebody complaining and griping in year one, It was just like this. Everybody was even keel. Offense was doing the offense. The defense was doing the defense. And there was none of this. Everybody just stayed right here, and we found a way to win that game. And that's when I said, okay, this team's different. We got a chance.
Your relationship with Coach Dillingham, of course, is something that's been talked about time after time after time. We had Coach Amy on a few weeks ago, so we'll talk about that relationship.
There you go.
Your relationship with Vince, and one specific moment he talked about was when you guys were driving from Pocatello back down to Salt Lake City to get on a plane to come to Tempe. You were listening to Coach Dillingham's press conference. He said it was emotional for him. What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, I think for both of us. I think for different reasons, right? I always knew that I was going to come back here and coach here at some point in my career. I really believed that. It was bittersweet when I left. It was awesome when I got the job with Dirk, and my office used to be right up here on the third floor. I spent many a nights in that thing. Had the old futon, and that is no joke either. So just everything that this place embodies, is for me. And again, coming out here as a young kid, 48 years old. I've been coming out here since the, latter 70s when I could remember it, early 80s. My mom's from here. So the amount of time I spent here, I remember our cousin, one of our older cousins, driving us down University from Mesa into Tempe so we could see, the university, and just the memories of coming to Arizona State, U of A games, both here and in Tucson. Just there's so many things, and so many of them are connected to my family that it's just a special place. So, yeah, you couldn't help it'd be emotional for both of us, but I think for vastly different reasons. Obviously, coaching Kenny and see him get to the point where I know, he's achieving his dream as well. It was really a full circle moment between, the three of us, and to get here and get started, that night was awesome.
Do you remember the first time you ever met Kenny?
Yeah, I do. And I tell this to people, like, I really first remember his dad. Like, so
okay.
I met him, the first time, and I don't, to be honest, this is so in 2005, I think he'd been like a freshman or sophomore. I was there as the defensive coordinator. I do vaguely remember meeting him then, right? But when I came back in 2007 and talking with his dad because he had gotten hurt, and his dad is saying, like, hey, man, this is a tough kid. Give him a chance, and he'll let you know whether or not he can do it. And that's the conversation. Like, obviously, I'd met him prior to that, but that was where, like, the first true conversation that we had. And he's just like, I can't do it. He was just, his knee was screwed up, and it was at that point I was just like, look, man, the right thing to do in my mind was like, here's a young kid that's played his career, loves sports, obviously. Hey, you're going to help us coach because that's what you need to do. Like, you need to be around your teammates in your senior year. That's something that's important to me. And it was kind of from that point in that conversation that obviously everything took off.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's like a movie script from that point forward, I'd say.
It really is.
Just as continuing moving forward. Let's talk about the Frank Kush Lifetime Achievement Award. You're getting that on March 8th. I know that's something that runs deep family ties for you. Your uncle won it back in 97, former president of the Fiesta Bowl. What was your initial reaction to learning you were going to receive that?
Man, just like I said, I was blown away, and I was actually down. I felt like I had the flu. I was just down, and they called me. Brad Sespat had called me and to congratulate me and let me know that I'd won it. And it was, what do you say on something like that?
Right.
I'm not a guy that, like, I mean, it's not, I don't know that I feel comfortable, I can talk about anything except, I don't really like talking about myself. You know what I mean? Like, but it is a great honor that people think that highly of you, that your achievements have affected and had an impact on people to this scale. And it's, I keep using this word, but it truly is humbling because, when you get into sports and get into coaching, and as you really get into it, I got into it because of the relationships, the camaraderie. That's what I'm about. And wanting, as you get older and you mature, you realize like the impact that you have on young people and trying to help them do better because the game has helped me do better. And, I don't share this a lot because it's hard for me to talk about, with my father passing away when I was 23. That really crushed me and my family, to be very honest. And, there was a point when I was living here. I just moved. He died. I had accepted a job and I moved here. And so I moved out here and I was really just like on an island. I had family and stuff here, but my mom was trying to close up our estate and do all of those things. And my brothers are not here. And so I'm in this city, where I've been in a small town my whole life. And granted, I know it here, but I'm kind of lost. And, there was probably a good, 4 or 5 years in that time frame where I could have easily just gotten lost in my career, and who knows what would have happened. And yeah, I had 2 good parents and had a lot of coaches that helped me along the way without a doubt. But it was really the game of football and the life lessons and the toughness and the resilience that football forces you to, if you want to be successful at it, forces you to adapt to, that really pulled me through in probably some years that were not the easiest for me at a very crucial age. And so I say all of that, football has done so much for me, and to know that, people feel that I've put enough into, give back to the community and have that lasting impression is something that I don't take lightly, and I'm very, very grateful for.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about that, and thank you for sharing that with us. That does mean a lot, and I think that the passion that not only you have, but the rest of this coaching staff, and frankly the roster has, not only for this place, but but for each other as well. It does seem to be rather unique. Would you agree with that synopsis?
Yeah, and I think that was part of knowing that, it's, again, when you get in this business and you jump in full scale, it's not when I decided to get into college football, I remember my wife and I clearly having this conversation, and she's like, yeah, we're going to move to Tucson, but understand that we're in the washer now. Once we jump in, man, we're probably not going to get out. And she's like, I'm good with it as long as you're good with it. And, obviously we're still here almost 20 years later. I say that to say really, like, when you're a football coach, it doesn't really matter where you live because you do the same things. You work a gazillion hours. You go, you know what I mean? Like, it's coming here, though, it isn't, where you work, but it's who you work with. And knowing that we were coming here and knowing that the staff that Kenny was putting together. Oh, and then on top of it, the 5-6 months that we're out of the season, you get to live in a place like this.
Right.
That obviously does not suck.
Yeah, it's not too bad, right?
No, I was talking to Kenny on Sunday, and I just gotten taking the family to brunch, and then we sat outside on the patio, and it's like 72 degrees, and I'm just like, this is stupid.
Yeah, not a cloud in the sky.
No, it's like, what are we? I mean, this is stupid, And so that coupled with the people that we have in the building that share the same sentiments as me, that want to be here and have a fondness for one another, and really, there's not a lot of egos when you walk in our building. It's just good guys trying to figure out a way to win, and that's, if I say that once, I'll say it 1,000 times. I just want to figure out a way for us to win and win at a high level on an annual basis so that we can be here and do this for a long time. Foundation's
been set. Year 3 will be coming up this fall. Hard to believe, right?
Man, it's gone fast. It's crazy. When you say that, it's unreal.
I almost stopped myself because I was like, that can't be real.
Right?
Anyways,
yeah.
Charlie Ragle joining us here on the program. Big thank you, Coach, for joining us.
Appreciate you having me.
We got a couple of weeks off, but now you're going the rest of the way, right?
I'm going to enjoy that spring break, I promise.
We'll be back with CJ Fight from the Sun Devil defensive line when we come back.